Hi guys, and welcome back from Carly at the Herbathicary. Really good to see you guys again. If you're new to the channel or like the videos, please show your support by hitting like and subscribe down below. It's video number 6 in our Christmas crochet edition, and we will be making this candy cane themed wreath. This can actually just be turned into a candy cane, but we will be wrapping it around one of those steel bangles from the first wreath and making a little wreath with a bow. So to begin with, we will need a 4mm crochet hook, a worsted weight yarn. I'm using red and white. We will need a ring to work around, and we will need 2 of these swirly bits. So I started with a chain of 70, which is as long as I needed it, plus 3. I've already done my red, so we're going to work on the white. So we will start with a chain of 70 plus 3. For this project, we will be doing single crochets, double crochets, treble crochets and slip stitches, and half double crochets, and we will be working in US terms. So there's no actual chain count for this. You might just have to play around with it to find the right amount for the ring you're using. But once you get your number, so mine was 73, we are going to double crochet twice into the 3rd chain along, and then do 3 double crochets in every chain thereafter till we get to the end. So that's 3 double crochets in each chain along. Just make sure that your 2 different colors, so in this case my red and my white, are identical. And remember that the initial length of your chain will not be as long as it is when you're done, as it does all curl up with the 3 double crochets in each. So now you have your second swirly bit. Just snip your yarn, chain 1 and pull your yarn through to complete it, and then just turn all those curly whirlies the right way round. Then we are going to grab the 2 and place the 2 ends together. Now I like to keep the finished ends together and the other ends together as well, and then just wrap them around each other. Providing you keep the end bits together, they should fit quite well, and as we've used the same hook and the same yarn, they do fit quite nicely together. So we're just making a candy cane at the minute. At this point you could get a bit of wire and thread that up the middle and make it a candy cane, but we're going to turn it into a wreath. So I've just got that bangle, and grabbing those 2 ends, I'm just going to thread it, or twirl it rather, coil it around the band in order to make a wreath. So we're just wrapping it around the outside, pulling it through the middle and continuing to wrap it around, adjusting each of those little twirly curly bits as we're going until we get to the end. Now, as I said with this, it can work out a bit too long or a bit too short. Sometimes you can adjust it, but you will need to work with your count in order to work out how many you need. Often I've just gone for a slightly bigger loop, or just grabbed some garden wire and made the loop slightly larger. But I think this count works quite well with the bangle, so I'm just going to tuck those ends in. Doesn't matter if they're untidy at this point, we are going to darn them in, and we will be adding a little bow motif. So on with the little bow, and I'll be doing this in green. So we'll start with our slip stitch. We're going to chain a 4 to make our loop, and slip stitch to that first chain that we did. We're now going to be working in single crochets around that loop. So we shall chain 1 and work 6 single crochets into that loop. And then we will slip stitch to that first single crochet that we did. Now on to round 2. We will chain 1 and do 2 single crochets in that stitch at the base. We'll then chain 8, and we are now going to picot this or slip stitch into the top of that last single crochet. So slip stitch. We're then going to do 3 sets of 2 single crochets in the next 3 stitches along. So that's 3, 4, 5 and 6. We'll chain 8 again, and again slip stitch into the base of that previous single crochet that we did. We've now got 2 more stitches, so we'll do 2 more sets of 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches, and then slip stitch to that first single crochet. Now we're going to work on the little loops to the bow. So for this we are going to work directly into that chain 8 space with 5 double crochets, 5 treble crochets and 5 more double crochets. We'll then skip the first stitch and slip stitch into the next one on the round, slip stitch into the next one. Now we'll chain 8 to do the first of the little tails. We're going to skip the first 2 and double crochet into the third, double crochet into the next 3. We'll then half double crochet into the next one, single into the next, and then slip stitch back into that same hole. Then we will slip stitch into the next stitch along and repeat this. So chain 8, double crochet into the third chain from the hook, double crochet in the next 3, half double crochet in the 4th, single in the 5th, and slip stitch into the same hole that came out of. We'll then slip stitch into the next and complete the second side of our bow with 5 more double crochets, 5 treble crochets, 5 more double crochets, so 15 in total. Then miss the first chain or the next stitch at the base and slip stitch into the next one. So that's our bow completed. We just snip our yarn, chain 1 and pull your yarn through. I'm now going to sew in all of those edges, attaching the swirly bits around so that they all mash together, and I'll just sew them in place. Doesn't matter how tidy they are, as we will be covering that up with a bow. I'm then going to grab a bit of the white and a bit of the red and just hook that over to tie that in and sew in my bow. First, you tidy up that bow by sewing in the tail and the middle around. So I just work that around that circle bit a few more times, and then using the bit that we ended with, I will then sew that onto my little wreath. Hope you guys enjoyed this project. Give it a go yourself. If you do, feel free to comment and send us pictures down below. I do like seeing everyone else's work as well. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe and come back for more videos from the Hook Nook under the Hibothecary.